Welcome to the Prep Reporters, brought to you by FFN Network.com. I'm your host, David Summey, joined as always by the man in Lincoln County, Michael Christopher, sports editor at the Lincoln Times News. We're coming to you once again from the Shrimp Boat here in Gastonia, North Carolina. For next week's location, check the website and come visit us next week at 7 o'clock from our new location. So, Michael, Lincoln County had some big games last week. The main one being the East Lincoln versus Newton Conover game, which was won by Newton Conover 27-19. Tell us a little bit what you saw out there last week.
Well, first of all, what a great week of high school football. Two state, caliber teams. Newton Conover, 2A state title. East Lincoln, 2AA state runner-up. I mean, it was a good game. A lot of people expected for it to be a high-scoring game. It was for a little bit. It was 27 points scored in the first half alone by both teams. East Lincoln defense actually showed up. It was a question mark to begin the year, and they showed up in the game. Newton Conover is just too strong on the ground. They had too many options at the running back position. Their quarterback play was great, and they did all this in the rain. Despite 7 turnovers, a lot of penalties, it was a typical first game. East Lincoln showed a lot of heart. They moved the ball well. As we talked about last week, Preston Perry was a quarterback this week. He threw to last year's starting quarterback, Josh Wilson. And Wilson, I believe, ended up with 6 catches for 163 yards. Great game. Look for those two to be key playmakers all year.
Nice. So I guess it's safe to say that you see Newton Conover as being one of the teams to beat in the state, being a contender in the state this year.
Got to be a favorite up there. I mean, their defense is still in question a little bit, but their offensive line returns from last year, so you got to, put them up there in the top.
Can we see East Lincoln making another run towards the state title this year also, or you think it's just not this year, their year this year?
Well, I think that until they're knocked off by someone in the Southern Piedmont, that it's their year. Their schedule is favorable. I think that the other opponents in the Southern Piedmont are down a little bit. Even East Lincoln is down, but only time will tell.
Nice. Also, you had a big game up there with Lincoln versus South Point, which the Red Raiders won 21-14 in an overtime thriller.
Right. This is a game that Brandon Wilson, junior starting quarterback for Lincoln, was out. He broke his hand, and so they looked to Jalen Littlejohn and Tevin Avery, who both took snaps. And Lincoln, unfortunately, lost 21-14 in overtime, but against a very good South Point team. And that rivalry brings out the best in both teams, and look out for both teams.
The biggest surprise in Lincoln County right now has to be West Lincoln. They're 2-0 right now, beating North Wilkes 54-0 last week.
It was a great game for West Lincoln. It was a big win, 54-0. They have outscored North Wilkes, I believe in the series 129-0. Big shutout win. Defense really set the tone for these guys. I think it was Kyle Arias and Devin Travis led the way offensively, again, having 100 yards or more for the second week in a row. Defense, Justin Carpenter had a big game. It was his birthday, celebrated his birthday in a big way. He had at least an interception. On defense, he had at least 2 tackles, and he returned a punt return for 86 yards for a score to begin the game. So West Lincoln on defense really playing well, and overall, just you got to look out for them. They've got a big test this week against Fred T. Ford, and we have a question.
The big guy that runs in the backfield, I don't know his name, but he also plays linebacker on defense. When they get to the more physical teams, how do you think he's going to wear out or stay strong through the whole game, or is he going to continue to be a big factor on both sides?
The question is asked about West Lincoln. Their running back, Devin Travis, I believe, is who he's referring to. And the answer to that question would be this, that West Lincoln has a slew of options at running back. He's a big physical guy, Travis is, but they have another kid, junior, in Kyle Arias, who picks up the load for him. And look for Caleb Beal, the quarterback, to also have a good game and move the chains because he's a big quarterback, about 6'1", I believe. So any of those guys, could have a good game for West Lincoln.
You had one last game in Lincoln County last week, which actually was last night, was North Lincoln versus Bunker Hill. Tell us a little bit what you saw between that game.
That was a game that went kind of unexpected for me. I thought that North Lincoln would have handled Bunker Hill a little bit better, especially in the run game. North Lincoln just didn't really have any lengths to run. Passing-wise, Andrew Stidham for them, sophomore quarterback, had a great game, 180 yards, but he threw 44 passes. So North Lincoln, with the new head coach of Scott Stillwell, looking to pass the ball a little bit more. And Bunker Hill just had big plays. They had a punt return for a touchdown. They had runs of 77 and 61 yards. So it's just big plays for Bunker Hill that just, was the downfall for North Lincoln.
Sounds like if North Lincoln's going to get back on track, they're going to have to stop those big plays and get that poor kid an ice pack for that arm.
That's right.
44 passes in a game. That's a lot. All righty. One more question. Yes?
Do you think Bunker Hill is for real?
David, I think you should answer that one.
Beating Cherville and North Lincoln, so that's two very good teams in their respective divisions, and I see Bunker Hill having a very good season this year. Now for our scores from last week.
All right, in a big game, Charlotte Catholic defeats Providence 48-47 in 3 overtimes. What a huge game that was for Charlotte Catholic. Mallard Creek defeats Harding in a shutout 51-0. Independence is 2-0 now, going 56-12 over Hopewell. Mount Airy defeats Thomasville 28-21. Ragsdale defeats Greensboro Dudley 18-8. Reedsville, who currently is on a 34-0 win streak, the biggest high school streak in the state of North Carolina, defeats Eden Moorhead 52-8. Richmond County 28-0 over Lee County, and Shelby defeats Watauga 25-12.
Some other scores were Cherville over Drone 21-14. South Point over Lincoln 21-14 in the overtime thriller. West Lincoln over North Wilkes 54-0. Poor guys. Newton Conover 27-19 over East Lincoln. Crest 30, Burns 27 in what was a huge game up in Cleveland County. Clover, South Carolina 39, Ashbrook 6. St. Joseph's over Thomas Jefferson 29-12. Forest View over East Rutherford 19-7 behind another big game from Forest View's running back Jeter.
I believe we had a question out in the crowd.
Yeah, wasn't that the 300th win for the Charlotte Catholic coach?
I believe it was, yes. He celebrated it in a big way, 48-47, 3 overtimes. So congratulations to Coach. And finally, we've got some last scores. Bessemer City's 2 defensive scores defeats Hunter Huss 13-12. Kings Mountain 56, Kennedy Charter 12. Chesney, South Carolina defeats Chase 35-7. Horace Central defeats East Henderson 34-14. East Burke in a shutout over Patton 25-0. Statesville over Hickory 25-15. South Caldwell defeats rival West Caldwell 21-12. And High Brighton over Wilkes Central 40-7.
All right, there's your scores from